you can't just sync every song. Like every song has a place, but not every place wants your song.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Good
like,
quote.
you know,
Welcome back.
What's up, busy babies?
What's up, guys?
Here
We
we
are exhausted today, honestly.
Speak for
Well,
yourself. I
I
feel
I
like
don't
a
know.
million bucks.
Okay, I
I can
am
run miles right
exhausted
now.
today. But we have a special guest, someone who's dear to my heart today, who I've written a bazillion epic moments with of songs. And
Nice.
this is Kairo.
Nice.
What's up,
Yes.
what up?
Thanks for coming on the pod, brother.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys so much for having me. I love this podcast. I've been watching this since the start.
Oh man,
Baby.
I made it.
He's hot.
we should have like a little busy baby rattle we
Yeah,
have all
right,
our
like,
guests as they
I
like head
made
out.
it.
Yeah. Oh
I
man.
love that so much.
Okay, first question, Kairo. Where did the name? What's the origin of the name?
Name.
Yes.
There's two sides. A really long story and there's a really short story.
Well, on the
So,
plus side, we are an hour-long podcast. So
Yeah,
you
we got
can
time.
pick, baby.
Cairo is the city in Egypt, also called the city of the Nile. The Nile River in ancient Egypt. I don't know if there's any history buffs out there, but in ancient Egypt, there was like a big like culmination of resources and crops that came from the Nile River, and the Egyptian people, they saw this as like, okay, this is our life force. This is what gives to
Right.
us, right? And I wanted to be a representative of that to music, like to just be a source of giving, right? Be a source of energy and inspiration, and just give as much as I can.
Damn.
And
So that's like
I like that.
That's a legit. That's
Powerful.
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
And let me say, he does do that.
Why haven't I ever
Try
heard
to
that
stick to
before?
it.
That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't ask, dude.
Come on, Brandon.
I haven't
We're
ever heard that before because you
podcasters.
don't ask, bro. It's like, Yeah.
You could have let that slide.
well, I mean,
I do want to ask, so what is your specialty in music, and what kind of drew you towards that?
Sure. Specialty as in
What you focus on?
what folks. So I'm a music producer. I produce music for film and TV.
nice.
So like, when you watch basketball and they got the that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When they cut the promos with the guys dunking, I do all that kind of
Oh, sweet.
stuff.
He
yeah,
hypes
so-
those people up.
Yep, hype people up.
So a lot of sync work, right?
Yes, yep,
right.
absolutely. Yep,
Okay.
100%.
And what was like your? How long did it take you to get in? Because I know the sync world, man. It's a very like shoulder to shoulder. It's a very like this person, they can kind of hook you up and connect you to the right person. Because I mean that's a dog eat dog world a little bit. Everyone's kind of going for the same. So how'd you fall into that, or how'd you make your way into that?
So me and my dad is the owner of Offstream.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Represent.
Okay. Cool.
Nice.
So my dad is the owner of Offstream. Kevin, excellent guy. I love that guy, and
He's a good guy.
He raised me, and I've known him for a very long time.
Yeah. Known him your whole life.
Saying
The day I was born.
Exactly. Saying all to say, I trust him very, very much. And that's kind of the thing about sync. You have to surround yourself with people that you trust.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that happen like that you might not necessarily know, but you have to trust that it's getting done and getting done the right way. So me and my dad, we kind of started out in this. He had a artist group that he was managing at the time, and they were doing very well in sync. So his whole plan, his whole goal was to grow them exponentially, and he grew them exponentially, almost to the point to where he was like, "Whoa, I didn't even know we could grow this much."
Right.
And it was all through sync licensing. It wasn't the traditional artist model. It wasn't like they were doing tours. They were doing nothing but sync licensing.
Oh wow! And because that was it was like, okay, everyone's going down this path, so that's like path of least resistance almost,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
At the
be
time.
be the difference.
How many years ago was this when he was doing
This
this?
was about 6 years ago.
Okay.
So they were, doing their thing, doing super well, and I was like kind of taking notes and studying and making sure, like, okay, like this is the sound, and this is what these guys do, and then this is how the deals work. And I was like, anything they needed help with, I was there. I was kind of like the little assistant runner, right?
Right. Like an apprenticeship almost.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn a lot from doing that, though.
Absolutely. You
You're
learn a lot.
soaking all the stuff in.
And
Right.
when you're intentional about it, because a lot of guys they'll do the apprenticeship and they're just there just for like college credits
Right.
or like something like that. But no, when you're in those environments, you have to soak. You have to learn. And I will say that I did. I learned a lot from that experience. And unfortunately, that group of artists, they're not together anymore. But about a year later,
I'm so sorry.
Salud.
Bless you.
Bless you.
We can cut that. Okay, good.
about a year later, I started to produce music that was more, look at that little puppy, that was more in line with that the sync vibe. Put together about 6 songs that were specifically catered to that. I got my brother, my dog, Shakai, and we did a very small EP.
And sorry, I don't
No,
mean
go
to
ahead.
interrupt,
No,
but
you're good.
just to keep in line with what you're saying. So was that EP kind of like what your father did? Was that same thing? That EP was strictly for singing purposes?
Pretty much.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha,
Yep.
gotcha.
So the thing about our music is we like to play both sides. So like there's a lot of guys that do just sync, like they're just sync artists and they just do sync. We kind of like to do both. So the music can still translate and be listenable and like people like, oh, this is really cool and creative and dope. That's what the group that my dad had managed did really, really well.
Gotcha.
They made really, really good music. The music is super good. You can listen to the car, like you could tell your friends about it and not feel corny about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I think is such a huge thing that speaks volumes with big films. I mean, majority of the big songs are ones that like you can listen to over and over and over again.
Right.
You
And
know?
understanding that these companies that are reaching out to you for your music, they want real music. They
Yes.
don't want music that's sync music. Like,
Right.
they want real. Like that's why they go and get the Jay-Z's and the Kanye's.
Right.
And they'll go and get Celine Dion for like a special moment because they want real music to connect to their project.
And that real music will always be tethered to that product moving forward. It's
Absolutely.
like when you
Yes.
think of like all of the lights, you'll think of whatever that
Exactly.
was on that ad. If it was an ad of something,
right.
it's like that will always be a staple in your head because it's
Yep.
connected to something you already like.
When I say Breakfast Club, what do you think of?
Oh yeah.
think
Don't
of that?
you?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Iconic.
music does that. you
Iconic.
know?
Yeah.
It brings you back somewhere.
Well, so it's really interesting, and I'm so glad we get to talk about this side of music because one could argue today that that's where the stable living, if everything's lined up and connections are made, that's where the real stability in music is these days. More so than it. Like I'd like to say maybe 30, 50 years ago, you could put all your eggs in one basket in both routes if you were talented and really pushed and got your stuff out there and probably make a relatively, you could sell albums and actually make money, or you could do the sync route and actually make money. But these days, I feel like if you are in a good sync community, that is where the money is.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, is that wrong to assume or?
Not at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's 100%. It's just today, music is so different. Like, it's not like, like you said, 30, 50 years ago, like you get a label deal and you sign to a label and you go on tour and you sell vinyls and copies of your CD. Like that was cool. Like, and that was like how most people made it. I'm an independent artist.
Yeah.
Person's an independent artist.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
And we're doing a lot better than major artists.
Yeah.
Like a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I know major artists, talk to them all the time. They're like, man, like we can't even pay my rent, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you got like a really big advance. Where to go? It's like it's
Constantly being put into
labels-
all the stuff.
Yeah.
labels nowadays. I don't like to throw shade at labels at all because I respect them and they're business too.
Yeah.
But they're just a glorified bank.
Yeah. You know, it's so
We've
funny.
had this conversation.
We had this
Yeah.
conversation
Really?
when
Yes.
when my friend Sid Taylor was on.
Okay.
And she's an independent artist and she went through the label route and back to independent. And we talked about that as well. And yeah, it is very interesting. At the moment, more than ever, a label wants you to do everything. Like they're no longer, they used to be bank and incubation.
Right.
Like they used to be
Right.
both. And now they are
development, yeah.
strictly like, keep doing everything you're doing. Here's a little bit more money, so it's not coming out of your pocket, but we want everything now.
But
you know?
also, they switch people like nobody's business.
True, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you have
True.
to think
Yeah.
it used to
Noticed
be an A&R or a head executive that was stable there for many, many years. So your relationships mattered within the
You
label.
have to build a relationship with them.
But
That's
they're
hard.
kicked out now
Yep.
constantly. Like even Spotify playlist stuff, like every curator, they're all like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got to
Crazy.
catch them
Well,
in their moments.
No, that's what's so funny is like, you know, when I was releasing music in the past, there was definitely more of like, no, I want this to strictly be an artist project. I want this to strictly be a fan base thing where I'm bringing people in, and that's what this is. But as I've gotten older, I've evolved with my music. I've started realizing, like, you know what? It'd be pretty badass if one of these songs got synced. Like, I'm very much in like, look, man, I don't care about my stream count. If like, you know, this sick independent movie or Netflix show wants it, please give me a ring. That's where, you know, that's where I'm at now. And there's still, history still shows how important that is. Like Billie Eilish, for example, Ocean Eyes is a prime example of living in both worlds. Like that was what, 13 Reasons Why, I'm pretty sure. One of the biggest shows on Netflix used Ocean Eyes, right? And then, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say I know the history of it. Some people claim like, well, she like through one thing knew somebody and they got it put on and stuff like that, and so she had some little help, and it's like it don't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, man, I was actually like, this is related to comedy, but you know the comedian Earthquake?
No.
So Earthquake is like, he's been around for a while. He's a hilarious comedian, but he had this great thing about like being jealous of other comedians and stuff, and like when people are skyrocketing in different things, and he was basically saying like, you know, I used to look at them like, man, I can do what they're doing. Why am I not doing that? And it's like, or, oh, well, they got that stuff up because of this and that. And he goes, no, you know what I came to realize? They made someone laugh I haven't made laugh yet. And I'm like, wow, that's genius. Because he's basically saying, he's like, they made a connection. They made something I haven't made yet.
Yeah.
And it's the same with music. It's like, you can't point fingers and be like, oh, well, they got that because this and stuff. It's like, they just made a connection you haven't made yet, you know? And if anything, you can kind of look at that as a North Star of like, oh, wow, well, once I do, then I will have that, you know?
Right.
And if
then
they can do it, you can too.
Exactly.
100%.
Especially today with music, like there's no like, oh well, he's got a label like there's none of that.
Hey.
Yeah.
Independent artists blowing major artists out the water.
Yeah,
Like crazy.
That's
Also,
really,
there's
that's really
less gatekeeping. You know?
True.
Yeah.
I was
Exactly,
gonna say
yeah.
that's the power of networking too. Networking, building relationships, planting seeds,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things work
And
for
also
you.
the power of direct to consumer. Like we're delivering music directly to our fans.
Immediately. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
There's no.
So speaking about projects, sorry, brother. Speaking about projects, real quick.
Yeah.
Every project you've gotten or booked is amazing, synced, everything's great. But is there one specific project you've gotten that you've just been like super excited to have? That you can probably speak about?
Talk about them.
I have a few.
Okay.
I'll give a shout out to. I want to give a shout out to Josh Moreland,
Oh,
our
yes.
brother.
There we go.
That's my guy.
We
Yep.
love you,
It's family.
Josh.
That's
Josh Moreland for putting it together.
Look, I don't know you, Josh, but I bet I'd love you too. So.
Great guy. Great guy.
Great guy.
You gotta be on the podcast.
yeah.
He's
we'll
coming
have
on.
him
He's
here.
coming on. Don't worry.
I
Big
can't
shout out to
take it.
Josh. Big shout out to Dylan. La
Yes,
Castlevania.
Dylan also.
I just did we did 2 songs for the John Wick 4 movie.
Sick.
Nice.
That was a really
Wow.
cool project.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of stuff from Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan is an absolute
A beast.
genius.
Yeah.
He won't say he's a genius, but I'll say it for him.
Well, that's all
That's
geniuses.
why we keep
right?
Yeah.
geniuses
I-
around.
The good ones, at least. Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but I remember watching John Wick and Kirsten's like, "This is Cairo," and
Right.
I'm like,
Wow.
I was
"Let's
like,
go."
this is the scene. This is it.
Oh man.
Yeah. Really,
which
really cool
scene? Which fight scene?
moment. Do you remember when the tracker walks into the Osaka hotel?
Yeah.
That music that plays
Oh
in the background.
hell yeah, dude.
And then the water scene, you know, when the
Yeah.
in the club,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
water's coming down. He's fighting with the axes and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
That scene too.
Badass.
The
Look
coolest
at that.
I love it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
the
yeah.
coolest
I was about to say, it wasn't the one
Let's
where he's
go.
falling down the stairs for like an hour, right? 'Cause
No.
Dylan did that one.
Okay.
That's amazing.
okay.
Hey,
That
was
was one of
crazy.
the most crazy
Imagine
scenes
being
I've
told,
ever
like,
seen.
all right, I need you to make a song. All right, it's epic. It's epic, right?
yep.
He's falling down the stairs, and then he keeps falling, and then don't just wait, and then he keeps falling, and then hold on, he keeps falling, and then he goes back right up him. Like,
And then falls
and
again.
then he
Yeah.
falls again.
Oh
Those
my
happen.
goodness.
Yeah,
was
but
crazy.
your scenes were badass scenes to have
Yeah.
your music
man.
behind.
It
Yeah.
was really cool. It was a
Yeah.
really cool moment. And then just seeing it in the theater and then, watching the credits roll.
Yeah.
It's like,
Of course. You're like, oh
we
my
did
gosh.
it. We
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
So
First of many. And
Yeah.
100%.
you said you had a few projects. What was another one?
Yeah, we did the one we did with we did US Women's Soccer. That was
sick.
really
Yes.
cool.
Nice.
For was here Legacy.
Legacy.
It was
Mhm.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Kirsten did Legacy for US Women's Soccer
Mm-hmm.
and the
Amazing.
way they put the promo together was like, man, they
Mm-hmm.
they really, really tied the song into the promo.
Oh,
And it was
that's
like-
cool. So they took the lead from your guys' song rather
Exactly.
than vice versa.
And it's not usually like that. Like
No,
usually
yeah.
like the song was like background, but
Yeah.
the song was the staple, was the highlight. And it
That's
was like
cool.
showing it was Jane. I forgot her last name.
Okay. No, you're good.
But amazing.
We'll plug
amazing
it. We'll
soccer-
plug
yeah,
it.
We'll plug it.
We'll plug
Put
it.
right on the
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, it was just showing her legacy and how impactful her career was and
Right.
the highlights and the lyrics in the back. I was like,
It was
oh,
pretty
so
powerful.
good.
I cried when I
Sick.
watched it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, wow.
It was
I
really
will also
Yeah.
say though, the song "Legacy" you guys created is a powerful song in
Great
itself.
song.
Yeah.
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 great song.
So
Yeah.
um so kind of to piggyback off what we were talking about with the labels and stuff, I know as you continue down this venture, I know companies come to mind or possible different business ventures. Have you ever thought about doing an independent label that's focused on syncing or
No, not a label, but
representation almost situation?
not
or-
necessarily because that's what we do. At
Right,
my firm.
okay.
I'm a part of that.
Okay, so you didn't like branch off, you're also a part of that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha,
I'm
my bad.
upstream,
My
yeah,
bad.
pretty much.
Okay,
No,
gotcha.
He
you're good.
is.
Okay, gotcha.
We-
yeah, gotcha.
So I have entertained kind of the idea of doing like a production company and doing like producer development versus artist development.
Cool. You don't. That's like
Right.
you don't hear about that much at all. That's
No.
the minute you said that, I'm like, where can I sign up? Because that's always like the biggest struggle. You can see anything online how to be an artist, but producing, it's always just like follow this logic or follow this thing. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
A lot of the stuff online is very it's very methodical. So it's very like do this and drag this and add this to your chain and you'll have this. It's like
it doesn't teach you how to have a voice.
yeah, and it doesn't teach you how to like even make music.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're just putting stuff together and it's like, well, I mean, that doesn't really sound cool though. Like how do you make it cool? How do you make it yours? And how do you make it even sync? Because there's no guidance on how to make sync music. That's where it starts. It's sync music. Right? It's music. It still has to be music. And there's a formula, there's a format, and nobody's really teaching it or talking about it. They talk about the business side, and that is a very, very important side and very
Right.
different from mainstream business. But they don't really talk about the music side that much.
Right.
And that's a big difference. Like you can't just sync every song. Like every song has a place, but not every place wants your song. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
Good
like,
quote.
yeah.
put it
Right
on
there.
it.
Put it
Put
on
on
the
a
screen.
t-shirt. Yeah.
So
Freeze frame with the quote.
Right, exactly.
yeah.
So like the NBA, for example, they like super upbeat, up tempo, but stuff that's like even down to like our songwriters, like they have to position bars in a different way. Like you have to like have moments where they can cut into your lyric and then cut out into the instrumental.
Right.
So we like, I'm extremely blessed to have like even be able to say this, but we've done so many syncs with the NBA that now like we know exactly
What they want.
what the editors
Right.
want.
Yeah.
because you have to deliver to the editors. The editors that's your boy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's got your song. He's hands on with your song. He or she, and they're like, okay, this part we're gonna keep this in and pull it out. And when Shaq goes for a big dunk, bah, it's gonna be right where the beat drop. Like you have to think like an editor when you're
Yeah.
making these songs.
Yeah.
Yep.
The easier you make someone else's job, the more you'll get hired.
Absolutely, 100%.
Facts.
Yeah.
Another
I say
quote.
that all
Yeah.
the time.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
also speaking on other sides of the business for you too, I remember when you mentioned NBA, you guys did a killer performance for the NHL, a live
Oh, yeah.
performance. Do
Oh,
you do a lot?
snap.
Do you do a lot of live performances for the games?
So we've just recently kind of started to tap into that. So yeah, usually, I'm a very much behind the scenes. Like
No, he's not. He's a crazy
No.
epic performer.
I'm
This man
usually
used to
over
have
there
I will
great
say,
hair.
behind the camera, behind the scenes.
That one,
all-
I have witnessed. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
great on stage.
Well, I used to have a band like a long time ago. I was in like a teen band. We were like a hard rock band. I played guitar in a hard rock band.
Yeah.
So our whole thing was like just get super wild on the stage, and we had like stage coaches, and we really got developed as a band, and I was just like, well, I'll just take that and do the same thing.
Right.
But usually, no, like I like to do the production stuff, but when they call like, hey, we want you to play at the LA Kings game, it's gonna be 18,000 people there.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna say no?
Yeah. I know. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do it. Why
It's
not?
true.
That was great. That was a lot of fun. Performing is fun. It's definitely not my focus, but
Right.
it is like, all right, like to be able to bring the actual songs that you hear in the stadium, to bring that to a live sporting audience is like
Right.
a really, really dope experience, and it's a dope feeling.
Yeah. I can only imagine that it also brings you closer to the perspective. It reminds yourself of the artist inside of you as well.
Sure.
Because maybe you might put on the producer hat for so long that it's like, oh no. Also, it kind of rejuvenates that a different creative side of you. Yeah. Even though it's like it's all music, it's still the performing part of you. You may take that energy later in producing and be like, oh, I remember when I was doing this live.
Yeah.
This gives me that energy. I'm going
Yeah.
to bring it here. And
That is very true. Like
Definitely.
It was
even when we're making songs, like I'm always like, okay, how is Kirsten gonna sound on this live?
right.
How is this gonna deliver a dynamic performance live? Right?
Yeah, because sometimes even the biggest
You do very
artists,
well at that.
Thank you.
it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Like, and that's so unfortunate. I don't blame anyone. I just, it's always a bummer when a song has to basically not be the song live because it's almost incomprehensible live or it falls flat live, you know? And then also so much music is dependent on when you create it in the studio, it's dependent on where it's performed. Are you creating something that is dependent on the reverb of a studio or the acoustics of a studio? Or is it dependent of like when you're live, are you playing in a closed shell room and it needs that, like so many things depend on that. And
Even auto-tune.
man.
yes,
Oh
and
my gosh.
auto-tune.
Well, it's also crazy how like auto-tune has become an
essential.
well, it's it's like an essential for some people, but I also think it's really interesting how at first it started as like training wheels for some people, or it started as a thing where it's like, yes, they're auto-tuned and people would like crap on people about it or whatnot and teach their own. But now it's become part of someone's voice as much as having, as much as having screech on a guitar or something like that. It's now become, it's like, no, it's essential to the sound. Like Post Malone, prime example. His version of auto-tune is now what people consider Post's voice.
Yeah.
Like, and Post doesn't have a terrible singing voice. Like he's a great, has a pretty solid singing voice. But when he doesn't have that on, now it's like, well, that's not Post. And it's no longer the auto-tune. It's now become his color. It's become his staple of his music. It's interesting how that's changed over time. Because when auto-tune was like first introduced, well, I know it's been around for a while, but I mean, when it was first introduced, I feel like in the mainstream and people were confidently saying they use it. There was so much backlash. It's like, what do you mean? It's not real music anymore. You're not singing. And now it's like, now we are adjusted to it as
I was
consumers.
about to say, that's actually people cannot hear without auto-tune.
Yeah.
anymore.
Wow, yeah.
It's an actual fact. Like, because I'm someone, I don't get mad anymore. I used to be like, don't put auto-tune on me. But now I'm like, okay, I just don't put it in my headphones when I'm recording.
Cool.
Party hard after, because it's actually honestly an aesthetic that people can't not hear anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. And so then I get to take that's why one of my favorite things is to live perform, because then I get to hear my voice, you know? But it doesn't mean I don't dislike the pocketing. I think autotune also pockets things in a way that people can I don't know, easily digest.
100%.
And
Right.
that's why it's so massive.
Yeah.
I want to say
Yeah.
really quick, you don't need auto-tune.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Kairo.
Yeah,
I want to
no,
say that. I
yeah.
just want to
Thank
put
you.
that on
I
record.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
I
it.
agree.
Thank you.
I do think there's a resurgence of the messy though. And a lot of music I'm starting to hear,
100%.
a lot of the top chart stuff is starting to resurge in that, like, not dare I say Nirvana-esque, but it's like they're starting to leave the messiness and the
Yeah.
guitar tracks and the
Yes.
drums.
100%.
Everything is almost feels like a master demo. They're really going back into that route
Yes, they are.
because the thing, it got so saturated.
Yep.
Right.
Everything, you could skip through every song on the top playlist or Hot 100
Yep.
and it could bleed into each other because they're all in this same level.
Pocket.
That's not even to include how Spotify like changes the quality of something and
man.
whatnot and everything. That's a whole nother thing in itself and how it has to fit. But I've just noticed a lot of music lately. Not only are we going back to acoustics, guitars are showing up more and more than they ever have in music. Acoustics and like the wide panning and all
It's
that.
the AI rebellion.
Yeah,
See, it's the.
I do
There's
think-
always got to be those.
I think you're valid in saying that, but it's true. There's we're embracing messiness in production again, which I think is really cool. I think it's kind of consumers' way of saying to the bigger companies, "Hey, we like these little screw ups.
Yep.
We like how like when they were strumming those chords, they left the guitar when it picks up your fingernails and stuff. It's like we don't cut that out anymore. We enjoy it because there's this authenticity that's begging to come out because now that we have everything accessible, no one has room to not even just screw up anymore, but it's like we can see you if you're faking. We're kind of that world now where some of the biggest people on your social medias and stuff are people that just talk to their phone in their car, or that we are so starved for authenticity in our media that music is starting to take note. And it's like, you know what? Okay, here's me. Here's like so many albums this year have been like, well, this is just me at my rawest. This is me at my, and that's finally coming back. It was we had the persona age, and I feel like it repeats persona age, raw age, back to persona age. But I feel like we're on the cusp of the raw age again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or people
100%.
tapping into a lot of the raw music
Yeah.
from like before and making it
Yeah.
revived in their, albums so that people can hear the familiar things that they like what's the word where they associate with raw.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not actually raw. It's just like raw pretending in your brain for the way that you associate.
Right. There's a nostalgia kick going on. For
Yeah,
sure,
there we
too.
go.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do want to ask a question.
Yeah.
So you own and run companies and businesses.
Sure.
So when you take on those things, what are some core foundations that I think that you want to run on in order to keep those things moving? And how do you kind of, I don't know, what do you think people need to know when they're engaging in deciding to build a business?
Build a business. Ooh.
Nice.
So
I like that.
a lot of things. Building a business is difficult. So know that first.
Number
First,
one.
number one,
one,
it's difficult.
It's hard.
Number one. Try anything else. No, I'm kidding.
All the guys on YouTube, they're like, yeah, this is super easy. All you got to do is
yeah.
follow mine, buy my course. No,
That is their business, and
That's
people
their
don't
business.
understand.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah,
business.
literally.
They're excellent salespeople. They're
Yeah.
doing
Right.
great.
Yeah, you're like $1,000 for one class. You're like,
Right.
no, trust me, dog.
Trust me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. First and foremost, expect the challenge.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a challenge. It's not gonna be easy. You're gonna get out there and you're gonna look like an asshole. You're gonna be out there with nobody in line buying your product, and you'll be like, "Why am I doing this?" The biggest thing for me, and has always been for me, is never give up. Never quit. If you want to do something, do it.
That's good.
Don't
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah.
Important.
It's gonna get hard. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
It's gonna really suck. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get to a breaking point.
Yeah.
And if you haven't gotten to the breaking point, you're not working hard enough.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. It's like
It's
more
as
money, more
simple as that.
problems, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. And they don't ever stop. Like
Right.
I like and we're all super young here,
Yeah.
so like we haven't really experienced that like
Yeah.
way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Not
like
yet.
those guys, man, they always say like, man, like it's still hard.
It
like
just becomes stress
Oh, yeah.
management.
yeah, exactly. Yep. And it's still like things I've watched my dad build companies since I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Literally been an entrepreneur since the day I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched him build tech companies. I watched him build service-based companies and done really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
and there's challenges every step of the way. I've seen him go through some really crazy stuff. I've seen him, you know, like cakewalk to the top.
Yeah.
And then when he gets there, it's like,
Yeah.
nope.
No, there's probably even more problems.
Oh,
it's
man.
just a matter
Oh.
of how you're gonna deal with them.
Tenfold, yeah.
And I feel like there's I feel like it's not as fulfilling if you're not really working towards it. I think the thing is people all think they want that passivity. I think they want that passive income and they want the quick shot to that sort of money and stuff like that. But it's like, but you know, and they've done studies about this where they talk about we all have a baseline of income that we can make as human beings before we stop caring. Before it stops giving us that fulfillment.
7 billion.
No, it's
You heard it here, folks.
it's so
7
interesting.
billion.
It's and I mean, obviously, it's relative to
700
what
billion.
everyone's number is.
Yeah.
But they just talk about it. You know, oh well, once I get that, once I'm at that money limit, you know what I mean? Then the next money limit, and I'll be fulfilled, and there will be no more stress, or my problems will be solved. And everything. It's like it's not. That's just something we've sold to so many people because they're tired of working under people.
Yeah.
But it's not a passive pursuit. Anything you care about or anything great, anything that is life-changing takes work. There's no sort of passive way towards it. So you can't look at money that way either. You can't be like, oh, I mean, think of anything you did that was really hard and it was worth something, right? It took a lot of hard work. If it was something you genuinely care about and you're proud that you achieved it, it took a lot of hard work. I can't think of anything that was easy, you know, that gave me the same sense of wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so
It's almost like if it ain't hard, it's not worth it.
yeah.
You know, like it's like you want that, like you want it to be hard. And I always like it's always funny. You know, people hear like you always hear people say, "Do what you're passionate about," right? Like, do what you love, and you never.
And you'll know that's bullshit.
Well, do you know why though?
What? Why?
You know why people say that?
Why?
Because when shit hits the fan, because it will,
Yeah.
you have to fall back on. Okay, well, I really love to do this shit.
Yeah.
So I'm just keep doing it.
Right.
So it's like, but like you'll never do like everything that you're doing is not gonna be what you're passionate about. Like you're gonna have to like
Your passions change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your passions change.
Yeah,
one
yeah.
and two. In your passion, you're gonna have to do things you don't want to do.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to get up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning and go set up for like setting up for coffee or something like that. I don't want to do that, but I do it because I'm passionate about the overall
Right.
picture. Yeah, the big picture. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it's
I-
it's the flip side of the coin. It's
Yeah.
it's like you do what you love, and it's not that you'll never work a day in your life. That's the bullshit.
Yeah, that's
but
so bogus.
That's so bullshit. But if you do what you love, it will keep you going.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's
because
okay.
you have to fall back
Yeah.
on that.
Well, I wasn't,
And,
yeah.
oh, go ahead, babe.
No, go for it.
Ask your question.
No, I was just gonna say, as long as you're doing something you love, that's what's gonna keep you really driving that whole time. Even when you get up there, it's gonna keep you going.
Yeah, it's true. So in that, when you're going through stressful seasons and moments in your businesses and your craft, what are some things that you do to keep yourself sane, moving, building, alive?
Do the opposite of what you're doing. So like, I'll give you an example. I'm really into cars. I love cars.
Oh, yeah.
Big car guy. And cars is quite the opposite of like, I don't know, maybe not like necessarily the opposite. Cause there's like a nice like marriage that cars have with music.
There's a synergy for sure.
there's, like,
I mean,
some
music
sort of-
videos
Especially when
and
you
stuff
love
have
the
always,
sound of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So like, but I say that to say like working on cars, fixing cars has nothing to do with music. I'm not like talking about music. I'm not making beats. I'm not even playing music. I do it in silence and I just need a moment to get away and do something else.
Yeah.
Play the video game. Hop on a video game.
Yeah. What are you playing right now?
Elden Ring DLC.
Dude, okay, how do you love it? Because I just downloaded Elden Ring for the first time. I did all the Dark Souls. I did Bloodborne, which is like
Oh,
my
yeah.
absolute
Bloodborne's
favorite.
huge.
Hey, Jake's a huge gamer.
Dude, huge.
Yeah, okay.
Like Sekiro I did, and I beat Sekiro, but like it took me so long because it couldn't hold my attention like Bloodborne. But then everyone told me like if you love Bloodborne, then Elden Ring is basically like all the best things of Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls. So I just bought it like 2 nights ago.
You just bought Elden Ring or Elden Ring DLC?
Elden Ring.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, I know. I'm in for it, aren't I? Yeah. Dude,
Okay.
you know what blew my mind? Was a jump button. I was playing it and you could
crazy.
jump. And I
You
was
can
like, for the
jump.
first time, you could jump in a From Software game.
Jump. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Elden Ring is a beast.
Oh.
You'll like it though. Did you beat Bloodborne?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
So
I
you'll
played
be
and I
fine.
played the DLC,
love
which was
it.
like the old hunters or
Right,
whatever.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude,
Solid.
I'm just really
that was my
anticipating. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not anticipating. I'm liking these names.
yeah.
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
wow, this is like code.
Well, like, so to give you
Yeah.
to give you like a little backstory, like basically, yeah, we got time. Okay, so basically, From Software is the developer, and so there are these games called like the Dark Soul type games,
Souls-like,
Souls-like. Thank you. And basically, a lot of people are masochists when they play it because it is one of the hardest, like the series, the collection. There's spiritual successors, and they're not all connected, but then there's lore that kind of connects them. They are arguably the most difficult games ever made. Pain, like
Wow.
genuine pain. Like you, like if you've ever seen people rage quit and stuff, like it's like a different
Rage quit.
because
That's Call
basically
of Duty lobbies.
everything in the game is out to kill you, and it's very difficult, and it's resource management, and it is just one of the most difficult games. But I think the reason there's a certain core audience that loves it is because it's almost like we were just talking about.
Yep. I
It's
was
the
about to say
hard work is worth it. When you beat that boss, you've been
man.
trying to fight for 3 days straight. When you beat him, it's a reminder that hard work and perseverance will get you through. And I know it's like, oh, it's a video game, Jake. No, I fundamentally believe that game like builds your patience. It builds your
Tenacity.
Your tenacity.
Yep.
Great word choice. Like it is. I love the game so much. So yeah, I just got Elden Ring last 2 days ago. I played it for like 2 hours, and then I knew I had to do something. So I was like, I can't because this weekend I want to get sucked in. Like I want to.
Yeah, definitely spend the time. 'cause
Yeah,
you're gonna
man.
Need it.
Yeah,
You're gonna need it.
I was gonna say it is funny that before that you touched on when you're doing something else outside of music, you have to just do it in silence. It made me laugh because every time Kirsten gets in the car with me, she has me turn the music off and just drive in silence. And I've almost gotten used to just driving in silence
do that all
now,
the time.
even by myself
My
sometimes.
favorite.
Because Kirsten's like, I'm so involved in music that if I'm in the car, I just need.
Well, you know, they say that like there's a big split down the middle of artists that always listen to music and artists that never listen. They're like, oh, I very rarely listen to music. And I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I feel like when I'm really writing and focusing towards a project, I'm listening all the time. True. And then when I'm just kind of like going about my practicing and stuff like that, I'm not always listening. It depends on when I need to be influenced. But yeah, no, I get it. It's the same with acting. It's like you think sometimes with acting you love it so much, but I probably watch the most when I'm working on a project. I watch the most stuff, and then when I'm not, I don't like really watch anything. Yeah.
Well, I was also going to say a lot of actors, they don't even like to watch their own products.
I used to not like to watch my own stuff until I realized you have to. Like it's the same way of people of like not going back to songs you didn't finish. Like you have to kind of
Or that you released.
yes,
Never
exactly. Like,
listening to a
you
song
have
you
to
released.
go back and force yourself to find the things you did like, because sometimes we just file it like didn't like that. And it's like, no, you got to go back and be like, well, you know what? There was some honesty I did see like there, and I do like that. And
So
like you have to go back. And the only thing I wouldn't recommend is we have these thing called dailies on set. The only time I'd recommend watching dailies if you're given the opportunity to, because depending on the project, depending on the size of your role, they're like, get the hell out of here.
Right,
But I mean, if you're part of the main cast, typically you can get a contract to be able to look at your dailies. I'd only recommend looking at it in the beginning. So I didn't explain what dailies were. So back in the day when we were strictly on film would get processed and then take to the editing bay, and the directors and the actors could go that night and watch what they shot. Okay. Now, when it's all digital, that's why we still say checking the gate on set. So checking the gate, you would close off the film after you shot it, and you would make sure the gate's good. You'd run the reel and make sure nothing got burnt. So you check the gate, move on to the next scene. They say it a lot on set these days because just to kind of hold over that that legacy of all that. But everything's digital, so you don't have to check the gate anymore, unless you're shooting on like Kodak or
Even
something.
like
But
speeding, they say
like speeding,
camera speeds,
yeah,
like,
camera speeds, like we don't.
that was because of the real.
Yeah, because the real speeding and
right,
stuff. Like,
yeah.
there's so many things that we don't actually need to say. We just keep it going.
Right.
And so dailies are basically you can watch what just happened or what was shot for the day. That's when they call them dailies, because people have to, for continuity purposes, makeup, everyone needs to know what's going on, what they're going to shoot next, how they're going to match lighting if we miss something, blah, blah, blah. A lot of actors like to watch the dailies to keep up with, and your best interest is to make sure your character's tone is staying through and through. But I'd recommend watching it like a few times just to make sure you're doing what you're doing and then stop. Because the minute you're too aware of what you're constantly look like is also a problem too.
Sure.
I feel like it's equally relatable to music. The minute you're too aware of like your process and how you're doing this, it's like you start thinking about how is it going to be perceived, and then the creativity just goes,
Yeah.
like
especially on music. I'll say like me personally, I don't listen to a lot of my stuff.
Mm-hmm,
A lot of people think that's, "Whoa, you don't like it?" No, I love the stuff that I make, but I can't. That can't be the only thing that I listen to, because I have to listen to other things that are happening. Like I have to soak in like things that are current, things that are like, I can't listen to the songs that I made 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That don't make no sense.
you have
Like,
to be inspired and relevant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to be inspired, and like I'll pull things from like current music into sync music, and it works.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know how that worked.
Yeah.
I do. It's you listen to it on the radio, like
Yeah.
it's easy.
Yeah.
So it's like I try not to listen to too much of my own stuff, because it's like the repetition will put you in the box of whatever that creativity was, and you'll stay here. You'll never branch out and do anything outside of what's here.
Yeah.
right? So
No.
Powerful words too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, honestly, Kairo, you are one of my favorite people on planet. But don't let it
Likewise.
get it to your head. I'll probably say it a million times. Just get it to your head.
When did you two meet?
Oh,
How long have you guys been working together?
It's been for some time now, hasn't it? Yeah.
4 years?
I want to say 4.
Wow.
It feels like 14.
Yeah, it feels like actually 20. I feel like I've never not known you.
I think we've crossed paths in the past.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
we kind of come from the same studio, like growing up. But yeah, it feels like I've known you for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, honestly, I just, for all of you busy babies out there, please go and look up Kairo and his whole squad off stream. They are an incredible group of people, artists, writers, and they have done so many things that you've probably listened to in your mind and in your scrolling and in your movies that you wouldn't even know. And just go support. So
Yeah.
show them
Appreciate that.
where you can be supported.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tell them, not show them.
I'm on
Screen.
I'm on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, King Kairo Music. We're all over Spotify as Kairo. Kairo on Spotify, on Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube.
Keep it easy.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yes.
King Kairo
Simple.
Music and Kairo.
Yes.
With a K. Kairo with a K.
Okay.
Put that out there. Kairo with K. Yeah.
So
that's-
before we go, I had one question.
sure.
We were talking about doing things that are complete polarities
Yeah.
to music. I know cars is a huge thing for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any aspirations outside of music that like a project you're really working towards that has been inspiring you lately or in general?
So I have a few. Kind of start with the coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah,
What?
there you go.
Delicious.
Are you a coffee connoisseur?
I'm not.
No?
But my girlfriend is.
Oh, okay.
We started a company together.
Uh-huh.
Yep. We started a company together. It's called Late Night Drip. And
That's hold on. Late night drip.
So good.
Dude, that's an amazing name.
she came up with the name. I won't take no credit. She came up with
Oh,
that.
that's
by herself.
amazing.
Late Night Drip.
That's a keeper right
we're
there.
a coffee pop up. We pop up, do events and stuff like that. Late night.
Yeah.
And we're, as of a couple of days ago, we're gonna start doing the morning time as Daylight Drip.
Oh,
I like that.
damn.
I
So
like that.
excited.
Man.
Favorite coffee.
So is there
Detailed.
a place You know, when
Epic.
you guys are doing that, they can actually find where you are
yeah.
that day.
We're trying to get our boots on the ground around North Hollywood area. We don't have a specific spot locked in yet, so I don't want to be like, oh yeah, go check us out here.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
there. It's like,
Yeah.
But they do have an Instagram,
I was
so
gonna say, is there
you
a
can
place
go
they
and
can
check
keep up?
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
We're Late
Okay.
Night Drip with 2 P's at the end. LATENITEDRIPP.
Oh,
Hey, there you go.
He's rapping now. So many.
Bow. Yeah, so we're on Instagram.
Nice.
We have a website, stuff like that, and yeah, you can kind of keep up where we're gonna be popping up at, and
that's awesome.
where we're gonna be putting our boots on the ground at.
See, I would have
100%.
never. That's awesome. There you
Man,
go.
really fast.
Yeah.
I knew you had
Yeah.
the way your brain is. I knew
Yeah.
you had to have some things rolling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the coffee's fantastic. We
Yeah.
have had it.
I appreciate
Yeah.
It is
Wait,
delicious.
What's your go-to coffee?
Mine?
Are you just the?
I don't really drink coffee.
There it is. No, see,
I don't
okay.
drink coffee. Like,
Damn, see?
When I met him, he didn't drink it at all.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I completely like, no, I don't want that. But like now I've been like, okay, opening my mind up because I have to. Like, we
Yeah.
have to like, we have a coffee business.
Yeah, you
have
can't
to
sell the
drink
coffee like, how's it? You're like, I don't know.
I know. You
Tell me.
Yeah.
I did all the research on the coffee and how to like pull shots and stuff like that. So like I like know like the coffee, but like and then our product, like I've tried all of our drinks, like everything gets approved and stuff like that. But like I'm not like a wake up in the morning, I gotta have my coffee.
Yeah.
guy. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm right here. Okay, don't call me out.
Hey, you're not
all
like
right?
me.
Yeah.
I
Nothing
mean,
wrong
you
with that.
know.
Yeah, no.
I'll bring you
Yeah.
one. How
Yeah,
about
okay,
that?
deal.
There you
Deal.
go.
I want merch. That late
Oh,
night
yeah,
and daylight drip, or what's the
The
daylight
logo's
drip
so
and late
good,
night
too.
drip,
Yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
On a t-shirt,
We're getting
or
merch
a
together
hoodie.
right
Oh,
now.
hell
We're
yeah.
putting some merch together.
Dude, I would
Yeah.
wear that on the pod every day.
Yeah, we'll
Say
represent.
less. Say less. I got you.
Well, see, that's awesome. That's why I wanted to ask. I knew
Yeah.
you had to have. Okay, well then you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
All right.
You did.
Yep.
So
Well, we love you,
so
Kairo.
We
You're
appreciate
amazing.
you. Yeah, thank you.
so okay, we've gone over all the socials. Everyone knows all the socials, and then eventually we'll get an update on where the coffee truck will be, and then we'll just stalk you till we find it.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
well, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, man, thank you guys for having me.
yeah,
It's
this has
a
been
lot of fun.
awesome.
Yep,
Thanks
been a
for your
pleasure.
wisdom
Of course,
and
of course.
epicness.
Thank you guys for your wisdom. It was a great talk.
Yeah, appreciate you, baby.
100%.
Baby babies.
Baby babies? Are they baby babies now? The baby
Yeah.
babies who are not yet subscribed, please go and subscribe so you can be a
Yes.
busy baby.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also, thank you for supporting the pod. You said you've been
Yeah.
watching from the very
Oh,
beginning.
thank
That's
you,
It means
man.
the world.
Excellent to know.
Excellent
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh man,
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Time to come back. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Round two.
Round two.
We'll all be in merch at that point.
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll
Late
be
night drip.
about late night and daylight.
Yeah, yeah.
Merch collab.
Yeah,
Busy
merch
late
collab.
night babies.
Yeah, that's
Hey.
right. This is how we keep busy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly.
All right,
All right, love you guys.
love you guys.
Till next week, guys.